What's up, everyone? Welcome to rCast. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a story that might make you think twice about having heart-to-hearts with your digital assistant. Ever had that creepy moment where you're talking about something random, like vintage roller skates or artisanal cheese, and suddenly your phone starts showing you ads for exactly that? Well, you're not alone, and you might even be $20 richer because of it. Apple just agreed to pay $95 million in a settlement over Siri unintentionally recording private conversations. And yes, those are some very intentional air quotes I'm using there, but here's the kicker. That works out to about the price of a pizza per device. Is that really what our privacy is worth these days? Let's break this down. Between 2014 and 2024, if you owned any Siri-enabled device, we're talking iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, you name it, you might be eligible for up to $20 per device with a maximum of 5 devices. Do the quick math, and that's a whopping $100. I guess privacy doesn't pay what it used to, but here's where it gets interesting. Apple maintains they did nothing wrong. This is what we call in the business world a "we're not admitting guilt, but please take this money and stop asking questions" settlement. The issue supposedly stems from Siri activating without anyone saying, "Hey Siri." You know, those moments when you're talking about your secret cookie stash and Siri pipes up like an uninvited eavesdropper. Now, let's put this in perspective. Apple is worth about $3.7 trillion. That's trillion with a T. This $95 million settlement, that's like finding loose change in your couch cushions if you're Apple. They make more than that in revenue every single day. But here's the real story that nobody's talking about. This settlement isn't just about Siri being a bit too eager to join your conversations. It's about the broader question of privacy in our increasingly connected world. When we invite these AI assistants into our homes, what are we really signing up for? Think about it. We've got Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, and who knows what else listening to our daily lives. The companies behind them all say the same thing. We only listen when you activate us. But this settlement shows what many of us have suspected all along. These devices aren't always as well behaved as advertised. A whistleblower quoted in the lawsuit claimed they heard countless instances of recordings featuring private discussions between doctors and patients, business deals, seemingly criminal dealings, and, well, let's just say some very private moments. Yikes, suddenly that $20 compensation is feeling a bit light, isn't it? Now, let's get a bit technical, but I promise to keep it interesting. These AI assistants need to be constantly listening for their wake words. That's just how they work. It's like having a friend who's always waiting for you to say their name, except this friend has a really bad habit of mishearing things and starting to take notes at awkward moments. The companies say this listening is done locally on your device, and only when they hear the wake word does anything get sent to their servers. But here's where it gets murky. What happens when there's a false positive? When Siri thinks you said, "Hey Siri," but you actually said, "Hey Sarah," or "Hey silly." According to this settlement, those moments weren't just disappearing into the digital ether. This brings us to the million-dollar question. Or in this case, the $95 million question. What does this mean for the future of privacy? The lawyers in this case actually settled for a relatively small amount because they were worried about setting precedents in what they called a developing area of law. Translation, they were afraid that if they pushed too hard, they might end up with court decisions that make it even harder to protect privacy in the future. It's like playing chess with a tech giant. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a pawn to protect your queen. So what can you actually do about all this? Well, I've got some practical tips that won't require you to go full tech hermit. First, you can disable Hey Siri functionality when you're not using it. Yes, it might mean taking an extra second to press a button when you want to set a timer, but hey, at least your deep conversations about your neighbor's questionable gardening choices will stay private. Second, consider what you really need from your AI assistant. Do you actually need it listening 24/7? Or could you survive with manually activating it when needed? It's like having a really efficient butler. Sometimes it's okay to make them wait in the other room. Here's what fascinates me most about this whole situation. We're living in an era where our privacy is being monetized, quantified, and traded like a commodity. Apple says, "Here's your $20. Sorry, we might have overheard your conversation about that embarrassing medical condition." And we're expected to say, "Thanks, we're good now." But maybe the real value isn't in the settlement money. Maybe it's in the wake-up call this provides. A reminder that in our rush to make our lives more convenient, we might be giving away more than we realize. Before I wrap up, here's something to think about. The next time you're about to ask Siri about the weather, remember, she might have already heard you complaining about the rain. If you found this episode interesting, don't forget to like, like, subscribe, and hey, maybe leave a comment below. Just don't say anything too private. You never know who's listening. This has been rCast, where we make sense of the digital world, one story at a time. Until next time, keep your conversations close and your AI assistants, well, maybe not too close. Also, let me know in the comments, what's the creepiest targeted ad you've ever received? Was it right after talking about something near your phone? Share your stories. Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next episode.